beautiful. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I've got my review of Deadpool and Wolverine, the latest MCU film, the first Deadpool movie in the MCU, and the movie bringing Hugh Jackman out of retirement as Wolverine. There's a lot riding on this movie for the overall MCU. But before I give you guys my honest thoughts, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below your thoughts if you've seen the movie, as well as your predictions or expectations if you have not yet seen it. Subscribe to that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And if you want access to exclusive content, you can find that on my Patreon with commentary tracks, reaction videos, and live Q&As. Your support over there means a lot, so consider becoming a Film Stocked patron today. So it's no secret, Deadpool and Wolverine was my most anticipated movie coming into 2024. Last year it was Dial of Destiny. That didn't work out so well for me, sadly, but this one I had high hopes for, and a lot of you guys watching this video do too. When it comes down to it, Deadpool and Wolverine is absolutely awesome. I have not felt this way about an MCU movie in quite some time. I'd say maybe No Way Home. There have been movies since No Way Home that I've liked, but I haven't had one since then, or say Guardians 3, that I just was over the moon about. That's how I feel with this one. For starters, the movie embraces the fact that it is in the MCU from the jump. Like, I was hesitant, I know a lot of people watching this are probably hesitant about Deadpool being in the MCU. Will it be a Disney-fied, watered-down version of Deadpool? You do not have to worry about that. They make it very clear in the opening 5 minutes. This is still a Deadpool movie. In fact, it might be the most Deadpool movie out of them all in terms of committing to some of the violence, gore, language. More on that later, but this movie really uses the fact that it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to its advantage. One of its strengths, in my opinion, is the fact that it's able to make fun of Marvel's recent flops and misses with audiences. This movie does not stray away from Marvel's problems. It tackles them head on and makes for some laugh out loud moments. So there was no worry on my end about Deadpool being in the MCU after the first 5 minutes, but then I asked the greater question, will this movie taint the legacy of Logan? Maybe one of the greatest comic book films out there. Many people claim it is the best comic book film ever made. It serves as such a perfect ending to Logan, to Wolverine. Beautiful sort of ride off into the sunset type of moment, right? Well, it brings me nothing but joy to report. The legacy of Logan is not at all diminished, in my opinion. It pays respect to it. Oh, man. It pays respect to it, sort of. You'll see what I mean, but it never goes out of its way to be like, we're gonna directly sabotage the ending of Logan. You don't have to worry about that. Since the moment it was announced that this movie is called Deadpool and Wolverine, we're all going into this movie just wanting to see this duo on screen, and man, does it deliver. Yes, we get some insane action and fight scenes, paired with some hilarious laugh out loud moments, but the heart of this movie is what stands out. For Deadpool, he wants to finally be greater than himself. He wants to matter and mean something as a hero. While on the other hand, you've got Wolverine, at least this universe's version of Wolverine. You'll see the ins and outs of all that when you watch the film. And he's down on his luck. He's depressed. He's a disappointment in his universe for reasons I won't elaborate on here. But you pair these two characters together, and behind the endless stream of jokes with their fair share of explicit language, and then over-the-top violence and gore in these action sequences, you actually get a heartwarming story underneath all of this about embracing your past, learning from it, and ultimately striving to be better for the greater good. Like, there's a line in this movie that reminds me a lot of what Rafiki tells Simba in The Lion King. The way I see it, the past can't hurt, but you can either run from it or learn from it. I didn't want to do a Rafiki impression there. That might have been weird. That idea of embracing your past, learning from it, and growing from it rings true here. It really struck a chord with me. Now remember, Deadpool and Deadpool 2 are family films, and this one still manages to retain those traits. Major props to Shawn Levy, the director, who's done films like Night at the Museum, The Internship, even television. Have to shout out his directorial work on Dear Billy, maybe the best episode of Stranger Things. But he injects this film with those sweet, moving moments, and like I said, in a film riddled with in-your-face wow moments, it manages to have so many touching character moments in a scene as simple as two characters sitting by a campfire and opening up about past events that were traumatic for them. But let's talk about the action now. There are 4 to 5 action sequences in this film that stand out. One in particular, the movie literally acknowledges how awesome it's about to be, and it did not disappoint. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, since I walked out of the movie, I've been dying to see this scene again. The song choice paired with the actual fight scene, I can't even, you guys are gonna, it gets me going, that's all I'm gonna say.
I am soaking wet right now.
And that's one of those fight scenes that like years from now, I'll just look up on YouTube like weekly and be like, all right, I'm about to go hang out with my friends. I need a bit of a, adrenaline pump. I need to get fired up. Let me just toss on this quick fight scene from Deadpool and Wolverine. That'll get the blood going for sure. And of course, there are those fist pump moments that might have you on your feet, jumping up and down, depending on how big of a Marvel fan you are. Of course, I'm referring to cameos. If you want them, you're gonna get them. What makes them all the better, though, is that they're included in a logical way within the story of this film. It never once feels like, wait, why is that person here? It's like actually included in the bit. It all just feels like one big running joke that's super self-aware because, yes, the fans want to see cameos in this multiversal film, but at the same time, it's symbolic of the changing tides for movie studios in the real world with Disney, Fox, you name it. I thought it was brilliantly done, and one cameo in particular really stood out for me for reasons I cannot elaborate on here. I'm being very vague on purpose, but it wasn't something I ever thought we would see. It really reminded me of another cameo from a recent Marvel film. Can't say much else. This next part of the review is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but the TVA plays a pretty large role in the film. The TVA obviously being the Time Variance Authority, who we first found out about in Loki season 1. And to me, seeing the incorporation of the TVA was satisfying because I often have criticized Marvel for not having sort of continuity between the movies and TV shows, and this feels like it bridges that gap in a sense. It makes this really important concept for the universe from Loki feel necessary to the films, and so I liked how they sort of bridged the gap between the MCU Disney Plus shows and the MCU movies here. And then of course there's Cassandra Nova in this film. I don't want to say too much about her character, but Emma Corrin, who plays Cassandra Nova, crushed it here, and her role was a lot more important than I thought it would be, especially when it comes to getting in characters' heads. You just gotta watch the movie again to find out what I'm talking about. But man, oh man, some crazy stuff happens with her. And let's talk about the pacing of this movie. I thought it was perfectly paced. Like the first hour and a half of this movie, no lie, felt like 30 to 45 minutes. This is one of those Marvel films that I could see the rewatchability being like a 10 out of 10 on. I could go back and rewatch this movie any day of the week. It's got the No Way Home effect, the Infinity War effect, the Guardians 1 effect, where it's like, this movie rules from beginning to end. I will be able to watch it any day of the week, and I can honestly just pinpoint scenes that I'm going to go back to, much like how I rewatched the final hour of Endgame. There's, like I said, 4 or 5 action scenes that I will be rewatching on a loop. And this is refreshing to say because it's been a while since we've had a new MCU movie where I'm just gushing about it when the credits roll and I'm like dying to go rewatch it. I wish I could have rewatched this movie immediately. I would not have left the theater. I would have sat there, watched it play back again. The reason I feel that way is because it's got all the makings of a classic MCU movie that feels comic booky. It's got awesome fan servicey action scenes and cameos, but it's surprisingly so heartwarming that I was so invested in the characters and the journey they went on. Sure, there are plot details you could nitpick and question in terms of continuity in the greater MCU, but for the story they're trying to tell, it was really effective in my opinion. There's undeniably a lot to soak in here. That's why I think this movie would benefit from a rewatch. I'm seeing it again on Thursday, and maybe on rewatch, I have the first watch done and I maybe see some more issues, or I'm like, oh no, there's no issues. That's why I'm not really giving it like a definitive rating right now. I want to see it one more time. All honesty, hand to God, the entirety of this movie pretty much, I was giddy, smiling, clapping, laughing, feeling like a kid in that theater, watching awesome shit happen in a Marvel film. That's what I want from the MCU, and this delivered. It's action-packed, like multiple action-packed scenes. I can't wait to see like crowd reactions to this film, packed theaters opening night. It's gonna erupt like it did with No Way Home, like it did with Endgame, and I really believe this movie will be special. I think it's gonna be one of those home run hitters for Marvel where people flock to the theaters to see it. It's gonna have a behemoth of an opening weekend. I would say almost, 300 plus million worldwide opening weekend alone. This is going to make $1 billion comfortably in my mind. And the movie rules. And I'm not just sitting here gassing this movie up to, give it clout. Like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. I just love this movie, and it makes me happy to report that. My most anticipated movie of the year absolutely delivered and then some. Hugh Jackman crushed it in a different turn for his take on Wolverine. This is probably the funniest we've seen Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, and all around, it just worked. It knew what it was, it embraced that from the jump, it never strayed from that, and the movie fired on all cylinders from beginning to end, making for probably my favorite movie of the year. A top 10 MCU movie, I'm comfortable saying. I gotta watch it a few more times to see where it lands, like set in stone for me. But man, oh man, did Deadpool and Wolverine deliver and then some. If you're a fan of the first two Deadpool films, you'll like this. If you like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you'll like this. It's gonna be that crowd-pleasing summer blockbuster Marvel film that does numbies at the box office. I have nothing else to say except let's go. I'll have a full spoiler review at some point this week where I dive into literally the entire movie. On the car ride back, I saw it with my girlfriend Cam. We talked about the whole movie from beginning to end. Whenever I do that with a movie, that's how you know I'm excited about it. Went from beginning to the very end, every single plot point, every line we could remember, spewed it all out. We'll probably do that again and maybe even bring a podcast episode into the mix. But what do you guys think of this movie if you've seen it? What are your expectations or predictions if you have not yet seen it? Let me know that down below and hit that like button. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already so you can be notified for all my future videos. Been cranking out lots of content this week, so hopefully you guys have been checking all that out. But I appreciate your support as always. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.